My name is Emily Carter, and if you had told me just a few months ago that a single message from my cousin would change the course of my life, I wouldn't have believed you. Back then, my life wasn't bad, it was simply predictable. I worked at a local community library in Cedar Hill, spent evenings tending to the small garden behind my townhouse, and visited my parents every Sunday for dinner. My days moved in a quiet rhythm, and I had accepted that as my life's pace. But everything changed the afternoon I received a voicemail from my cousin Daniel. Daniel and I grew up together, more like siblings than cousins. He was 3 years older, and the kind of person who could brighten a room simply by stepping into it. Even as adults, we kept in touch, though less frequently than either of us liked. He'd moved 2 states away for work, and I stayed in our hometown. The message came when I was shelving books after the Saturday children's reading session. I saw my phone light up and expected it to be a spam caller. But it was Daniel. His voice message was short, rushed, almost shaky. "Hey it's me. Listen, can you, come visit me this week? I really need to talk to you. And when you get here, meet me upstairs. There's something I need you to see. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. I need you. Call me when you can." The moment I heard his voice, something in my stomach tightened. Daniel was upbeat, always laughing. This didn't sound like him at all. I tried calling him back after closing the library, but it went to voicemail. Again and again. By the next morning, I'd already decided. I packed a small bag and texted my supervisor asking for 2 days off. The drive to Maple Ridge took 6.5 hours, and the whole way there, I replayed the message. Meet me upstairs. What did that mean? Why did he sound so unsettled? When I finally reached his neighborhood, something felt off. Maple Ridge was usually quiet, but today it seemed tense, people walking briskly, avoiding eye contact, curtains drawn in the middle of the afternoon. I parked in front of Daniel's townhouse, climbed out, and pulled my jacket tight against the cold wind. The place looked abandoned. His car was out front, but the blinds were shut, and there were 2 packages still unopened on the porch. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked. Nothing. "Daniel," I called, my voice echoing faintly. "It's me. I'm here." Still nothing. I tried the door, and it opened. My heart jumped. Daniel was meticulous. He'd never leave his door unlocked. Inside, the place looked normal, at first. Shoes neatly by the door. A half-empty coffee mug on the counter. A folded jacket on the couch. But the silence was heavy. And then, I noticed something. A thin layer of dust on the table, the kind that takes days to collect. My pulse quickened. "Daniel," I called again, stepping deeper inside. The house felt cold, too cold, and then I remembered the voicemail. "Meet me upstairs." So I took a breath and climbed the stairs. I half expected to find Daniel in his room, maybe sick, maybe sleeping. But when I reached the top, the hallway was dim, the curtains closed. All the doors were shut, except one. Daniel's old home office. The door was cracked open, and faint light spilled from within. My hands trembled slightly as I pushed it open. Inside, the room was filled with pinned papers, maps, notes, photographs, like something out of a detective documentary. But what caught my attention first was a sealed envelope on the desk with my name written in Daniel's handwriting. My throat tightened. I opened it carefully. Inside was a letter. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I didn't want to worry you. I didn't know who else to trust. Something has been happening here. I've been trying to protect someone, and I can't let it get worse. Please don't go to the police yet. I need to explain everything in person. If I'm not home when you arrive, look around upstairs. You'll understand soon. Daniel. I felt dizzy. Protect someone. What was he involved in? I stared at the wall covered in papers. Some were local news clippings, about burglaries, missing items, mysterious break-ins where nothing valuable was taken. Others were hand-drawn maps of the neighborhood, marked with circles and notes in his handwriting, possible entry point, strange lights, check again, not random. There were pictures of a little girl I didn't recognize, brown-haired, around 9 or 10, smiling on a playground. Next to them, notes written in Daniel's hurried style. Her mom won't listen, someone watching them, she's scared. My heart sank. Was Daniel helping this child? Was someone threatening her? Suddenly, the sound of footsteps downstairs snapped me back to reality. I froze. Then I heard a familiar voice call out. Are you here? It was Daniel. I ran downstairs, relief flooding me. He looked exhausted, but alive. He dropped his bag the moment he saw me and pulled me into a tight hug. I'm so glad you came. he said, voice cracking slightly. I didn't know who else would understand. What's going on? I asked, pulling back to study his face. He motioned for me to follow him into the living room. Once we sat, Daniel took a long, shaky breath. There's a girl in my neighborhood, he began softly. Her name is Lily. She and her mom moved in a few months ago. She's quiet, sweet, and she's been terrified. Someone has been breaking into their backyard, leaving things behind. Notes, toys, small objects. The police thought it was kids playing pranks. But Lily keeps saying she sees someone watching her window at night. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Daniel, what does this have to do with you? She asked me for help, he whispered. Her mom is overwhelmed, trying to work 2 jobs. She thought Lily was imagining things. But I saw someone the other night. A figure in the yard, quick, too quick. When I tried to follow, they were gone. He rubbed his hands together anxiously. I started tracking it, and it wasn't just their house. 5 neighbors had strange incidents in the last 2 months. Everyone brushed it off. I couldn't. And the maps upstairs? I asked. I've been trying to figure out the pattern. I think whoever it is, isn't trying to hurt anyone. It feels like they're searching for something. I stared at him. Searching for what? He swallowed hard. I don't know. We sat in silence until Daniel sat up straighter. But there's something else. Last night, I found this. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small wooden box, old and worn, with a delicate carving of a leaf on top. I found it in their backyard, he said. Buried shallowly near the fence. Lily said she didn't put it there. What's inside? I asked. He carefully opened it. Inside was a small photograph of a boy, maybe 7 years old, with sandy blonde hair and a gap-toothed smile. Tucked with it was a folded note. Daniel handed it to me. The handwriting was shaky but readable. I'm sorry. I didn't know who else could keep him safe. My heart leapt into my throat. Daniel, is this about someone's child? He nodded, eyes dark. I think someone is leaving clues. Someone who can't come forward. I've been trying to piece it together, but I need help, Em. After everything I'd seen, I knew I wasn't going anywhere. Tell me what to do, I said. He looked relieved. Tonight, we're going to check the park at the edge of the neighborhood. I marked it on the map. That's where the pattern leads. I took a deep breath, nodding. That night, we drove to the park. The place was quiet, dimly lit by a single street lamp. Daniel studied the ground with a flashlight, checking the spots he'd marked earlier. Suddenly, he stopped. Em, he whispered. Look. In the dirt lay a small, round charm, an engraved leaf matching the carvings on the wooden box. He picked it up, and for a moment, we both heard it, a faint rustling behind the trees. Hello, Daniel called gently. We're not here to hurt you. A figure stepped out, a woman, frail, pale, trembling. Her clothes were worn, and her eyes looked haunted. She raised her hands nervously. Please, don't call anyone, she whispered. Daniel kept his voice soft. Are you the one leaving these things? She nodded slowly. I didn't know where to go, she said, voice cracking. They took my son. I've been trying to find him. I thought someone here might know something. I left clues hoping the right person would help. We stood frozen. Daniel stepped closer. Why me? Because you helped that little girl, she said softly. I saw how kind you were. I didn't know who else to trust. What followed was a long, emotional conversation on a park bench. Her name was April, and her missing son, Ethan, had been taken by his abusive father during a custody dispute months earlier. She'd been following every small lead she could. The toys she left were Ethan's belongings, hoping someone would recognize them. And the little girl Lily. She resembled Ethan from behind. April had briefly mistaken her for her son, leading her into the neighborhood. Everything suddenly made heartbreaking sense. Daniel placed a gentle hand on April's shoulder. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Between tears, April whispered, I didn't want anyone to be afraid. I was just so desperate to find him. By the time the sun rose the next morning, Daniel and I had contacted the proper authorities, safely, with April's consent. With Daniel's evidence and April's testimony, investigators finally had enough to reopen the case properly. It took 3 more weeks, weeks filled with searching, questioning, waiting, and holding our breath, but on a crisp Monday morning, April's son Ethan was found safely staying with a distant relative who had unknowingly taken part in the custody conflict. He was unharmed. I will never forget the moment April hugged Ethan again. The way her shoulders finally relaxed. The way Ethan clung to her. Daniel and I stood off to the side, tears in our eyes. And that moment made everything all the confusion, all the fear, all of it worth it. When I finally drove back home 2 days later, Daniel hugged me before I left. "You saved us both," he murmured. "No," I said softly. "We saved them together." My quiet life in Cedar Hill never felt quite the same after that. But in the best possible way. Because sometimes, a message asking you to come upstairs leads you to a truth that changes more than just your plans, it changes your heart.